Handyman gets upset every time we call him to fix something, so I told him it is your job to do it. My boiler recently turned off, and hot water isn't working. My landlord's handyman has came in. He turned it on thankfully, but as my mum's sweet, but fiery immigrant, who was trying her best to explain in English, was explaining that she thinks it turned off because she turned on the guest room heater, he started getting irritated and was telling her to tell me to download a manual and learn how to fix it myself. I find this funny because I'm really clumsy and would probably end up breaking it while trying to fix it. I'm not even going to attempt to fix a boiler or let the water out. I watched the last gas man do it, but he was a pro, he knew what he was doing. After doing it, the pressure in our boiler always drops as well, which they usually fix at the same time they come in when my mum tells them about it. This man was straight up telling me, tell your mom, I won't be coming in every time something wrong with the boiler or heater, as if it's our fault the thing's never working. His tone wasn't angry, but it was demeaning. I said, but it is your job to do it. He just stared at me and said, well, I'm away, and left. I said it one more time because I was in disbelief with his reaction. Why did he even come in to fix something when he didn't fix anything? This isn't the first time he's been avoiding his job. Every day it's I'll come during the afternoon, then he doesn't. You ask him if he's coming, he says he's coming the next day. This carries on till Friday, when it's the weekend, so obviously he isn't coming, but he will come on Monday, but then he doesn't. This is more of a rant really. I just want my home to work as it should be. I'm not sure why I have to remind him that it is his job to do so, instead of telling me to go buy the key and doing it myself. Story 2. My mum's got 2 brothers and my dad's got a brother and a sister, and all of them except my dad's brother are married. I've always viewed the spouses also as my aunt's uncle, as they've all literally been in the family for longer than I have, and when I was young I didn't even understand the difference between blood uncloned and uncloned in-law, for lack of a better term. The aunt-in-law in question is the wife of my mum's younger brother, let's call her Amy. When I was born she wasn't yet married to my uncle. They married when I was a toddler, but they'd been together for a few years already, and she's actually my godmother. I absolutely adore her. She's the best godmother aunt I could have asked for, and I can say without a doubt that she's absolutely my favorite. I actually thought that it was so obvious. Well, my mum's older brother and his wife recently got a divorce. Still, I mentioned her the other day while talking to my parents and called her aunt, so my mum said, not anymore. I shrugged, cause while I guess in my mind I'll still consider her my aunt, since that's what she'd been for the last 23 years, I was never particularly close to her, so I'm not that fazed about it. However, I mentioned how if it were Amy and my uncle getting divorced, Amy would 100% continue being my aunt, and that while I love my uncle, I would definitely take her side. My mum then tried to argue that blood is more important, but I disagreed. I said that I consider my aunt's uncle-in-law equals to my blood unclassant, and that in fact Amy was and always had been my favorite aunt. My dad then got offended on behalf of his sister, who I also love. She's great. She's just not Amy. Both were calling me disrespectful, so I just left because I wasn't in the mood to argue with them. My mum then texted me that I should apologize and always support family, but I left her on read and haven't talked to either of them since then. Story 3. My 27 female best friend 26 female, we'll call her Sadie, has been with her boyfriend 28 male, we'll call him Ben, for nearly 2 years, for this is her first romantic relationship. Ben is a wonderful guy. He treats Sadie very well, and they are extremely compatible. Since they've been together, both of them have expressed wanting to break up with each other at some point. The first time was a couple months into them dating. Ben felt Sadie was a little immature with finances and had to fix some underlying issues with her family. He said he wanted to see other people for a while. After a couple days apart, he essentially begged her to get back together with him. They were mostly fine after that. About a year later, Sadie and I are getting coffee, and she tells me she wants to break up with Ben. She said they don't have a foundation in faith like she wants, and he is not willing to pursue faith any further, and that's that. Ben has never met her parents still to this day, so she feels uncomfortable about that. Sadie said she felt like she was wasting her time, and that he couldn't get her what she was looking for. They ended up breaking up for about 5 hours. Sadie broke it off and was devastated. She called me saying she was willing to forego all the family issues and his lack of a relationship with God if it meant getting to be with him. Now they are back together. They were going to move in together in the fall, but Ben was saying he may move in now in July. Sadie told me she didn't feel comfortable with that plan because she's worried he won't want to get married later on. They ended up talking, and he explained why they need to move in together and how she's basically going along with it. Like I said, Ben is a great guy and treats her very well. But with the history they have had, I'm very worried that something is going to go wrong. I texted her and said, from an outsider's perspective, it seems like you are being very complacent and doing whatever Ben wants, and your wants concerns are being swept under the rug. Sadie has sacrificed her family, her beliefs, and her principles for this man, and as nice as he is, he hasn't done the same for her. I'm also worried that, because this is Sadie's first real relationship, that she doesn't think she could find another partner and will just settle. It's been a couple weeks since I texted her and she hasn't responded. This isn't unusual for her, but I can't help feeling like maybe I crossed a line. I don't want either of them to get hurt but Ada. Story 4. I, 28 female, have an 18-year-old sister who did not finish high school and is currently not working. My parents are starting to feel the burden as my other siblings are not helping much with mortgage, bills, and other expenses. Yesterday I had a conversation with my sister about what she needs so she's able to finish high school. She mentioned that at the moment she's not focused on that, rather she's looking for a therapist. She has not bothered to look for one because she expects my mom to help her. I told her that my mom has other problems, and that if she's not helping you, you need to take initiative and figure out how to make appointments. I mentioned that my dad is considering to sell the house, and her response that isn't going to happen. My dad is 60 years old and has been having more health complications by the year. I'm genuinely worried about her because our parents are getting older and she won't be able to support for herself. I explained to her about fight-flight-freeze and told her that more than likely she's stuck on freeze. I told her she just needs to start making small adjustments to start seeing a positive change in life. Guess this is what triggered her because she blew up on me. She told me that I think it's so easy to do certain things, I give bad advice and think I am better than them. Out of my 5 siblings, I was the only one who pursued a higher education, and I'm currently working for a big tech company. I worked when I was going to school, and I'd always mention how hard it was. It's not easy, but I know it can be done. Anyway, she continued to yell at me without letting me tell my part. I told her that I can have this conversation, but I won't be having a yelling match. She called me delusional because I continued to put down that boundary. She said she was reacting like this because she was angry, to which I said, "Your feelings are valid, but your behavior isn't." This fueled her even more, told me that she doesn't need a person like me in her life, because all I ever do is make her feel small and stupid. I respected that. Now my older sister and my brother told me that they are more understanding of her than they are of me. My mom and dad agree that I wasn't in the wrong. Story 5. I'm 38 female, still in shock. It's been 2 days since my partner's 38 male parents came over. It started 6 months ago on his birthday when his parents called him to tell him what a wonderful time they had at his ex-wife's house with her family celebrating their grandkid's birthday and how they can't wait to go again. We had our own very large party planned for his kids. Invitations were sent to his entire family. We had recently asked that they do not communicate with his ex-wife because she has made parenting extremely challenging. She has stopped us from getting medically necessary treatment for his daughter, has taken us to court over nearly every interaction, and she just pretty much spends all of her time trying to make us miserable. On top of this, when I first met his parents, all they did was talk about how much they hated the ex-wife, and always have. My partner and I are in tons of therapy childhood trauma. Our goal is for everyone to get along and do what's best for the kids. We have no ill will towards the ex-wife, but we've had to place major boundaries for a ton of reasons. The disrespect and disregard for what my partner asked of his parents made him physically ill on his birthday. They had given us no warning when they had previously said that they understand our situation and would respect his request. We can only speculate that they were invited to the party because of the boundaries we have personally set with her. In previous years, they did not attend because they were not invited, except when the two were married. When they were over the other night, Mil brought up the incident. She made it clear that she's only interested in her bio-grandchildren, and that it is easier for her to interact with them through the ex-wife. She would rather become friends with the ex-wife than attempt a relationship with me or her own son. We listened to all of her desires, communicated that we could give her ample opportunities to spend with the grandchildren, including opportunities at their school. Told her that she was more than welcome to stay with us during the week they live 2 HRS away and participate as a chaperone or a plethora of other activities with the kids. Mind you, they don't bother coming to sporting events, they honestly don't put in hardly any effort at all to see the grandkids. We invite them often, and they decline. I also communicated that it is challenging for me to put in the extra energy and effort to inform them of every opportunity when I feel she still hasn't acknowledged the hurt she did to her son. I asked her if she understood that all we were asking was that she acknowledged that she hurt him, and that an apology was all it took for her to have that relationship that he is seeking, for us to deliver the relationship opportunity she is seeking. She refused to apologize and said her son was picking me over her. Ada for asking her to apologize,